Hello friends, now I am here back with my third lecture on Narcotropic and Psychotropic Substances Act, Part 3, and till now I have covered history, objectives, definitions, as well as Narcotic Control Bureau and the funds and how it is generated and how we utilize it. So over here I will be describing you the cultivation, production and sales of opium. As in my last lectures, I have already discussed about coca, opium and these narcotic products and the narcotic products and the plants that we are using as narcotics. So now in your syllabus there is a detailed description of cultivation, production and sales of opium plant. I have already discussed that the opium is controlled by central government, that central government controls the cultivation, production of opium and sales is controlled by state government. We have already seen this in the last lectures. Now here is the detailed description of how the opium is cultivated, or you can say it is related with your pharmacognosy part, how the opium is collected from the plant and how the morphine or the narcotic drug is produced from those plants, as well as sales of opium. Now let us go through it in detail. Cultivation of opium poppy. We have to see how the drug is cultivated. The opium can be cultivated only on the behalf of central government. I have already told you that opium is controlled by central government. So the cultivation is controlled by central government and under a license granted to the person in the such part of the country as may be specified. The cultivation, or you can say the production of opium, is only permitted under guidance of government in certain places only. It's not that any common people can grow the plant in the fields. The license may be granted by district opium officer for cultivation in specified areas and plots. So for the cultivation of opium, the first point is that you have to take the license, and license is given by the district opium officer. District opium officer is again a government post, which is as and when the person is appointed in that post. If you want to cultivate the opium, or you can say that if you want to start the cultivation of opium, then you have to take the license, and which is issued by the district opium officer. The district opium officer may also designate one of the licensed cultivators as Lambardar, who may discharge duties specified by the Narcotic Commissioner. So in between the opium officer and the Narcotic Commissioner, there is one person known as Lambardar, who is actually responsible to see that everything is going on under supervision or not, that everything is under control. So that person is responsible to check whether that the cultivation is on time, collection is on time, regular, and the data are matching, that is those reported in the text as well as those are found particularly in practical. So it is the Lambardar and district officer, opium district officer, who are responsible to check it in person that the things are going on properly. Opium, the license granted by the district opium officer may be withheld or cancelled. If we are not working according to the laws, then the license can be cancelled. So you have to work under law, and that is supervised by Lambardar and the district officer. And if he found that the things are not going properly or you are not working properly, then he has the authority to cancel your license. So the license granted by district opium officer may be withheld or cancelled by higher officer. In case of cultivator contravening the rules after giving a chance to the cultivator for being heard, that you will get one chance or second chance by the authorized person. But if you will be doing it again and again, then your license can be cancelled by the concerned person. So you have to work in laws, and if you are found to contravene the rules, that you are not following the rules, then your license can be cancelled. If any opium is cultivated under a license which is subsequently cancelled, the crop has to be destroyed. That if something mischief is found by the Lambardar or the opium district officer, then the crop that is onto the field has to be destroyed. The slot has to be destructed. The drug cannot be marketed. Or if you can say the district officer is not consuming that drug, then it can be consumed by general public or general people, then it is not allowed. It has to be destroyed completely. So the point to be noted here is that you have to work under license, and the license is provided by the opium district officer, and you have to work under the supervision of Lambardar, that is the person who is appointed by the narcotic commissioner. And if you are not following the rules, you are contravening the rules, then your license can be cancelled after hearing you once or twice. You will not be getting a third chance to do it further. So these are some particulars which are important with regard to the opium cultivations. The documentation work that is essential for the growth of opium plant in your fields. Now coming to the favorable condition or the climatic conditions which are required for the growth of opium. If we see that the favorable conditions include that the cultivation of opium poppy is restricted to Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan and Uttar Pradesh. That according to the climate which is favorable for the cultivation of opium, there are 3 states, that is Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan and Uttar Pradesh in India, where the opium is cultivated officially. Or you can say the climatic condition of these states are favorable to grow the opium plant. So it is the Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan and the Uttar Pradesh. Now coming to the tropical climate in winter season, that is November and March. Subtropical climate in winter season, that is the month from November to March, is the favorable duration in which the crop is being cultivated. So if we talk about the temperature, it is like moderate cold to moderately hot, that is November to March. Basically we are occupying the winter season where the crop is standing in the field and is collected. So here is the favorable climate. The climatic conditions of Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh and Rajasthan are favorable for the growth of opium. And if we talk about the climate, it is from the November month to the March month where the crop is cultivated. Highly fertile, well-drained, loamy soil with fine sand is the favorable type of soil that is required for the cultivation of opium poppy. That is highly fertile, well-drained, loamy soil with fine sand. The soil should contain organic matter like nitrogen and should have a pH around 7. So the pH of the soil should be 7 and should have nitrogen and organic matter into it. So these are few of the favorable conditions which is required for the growth of opium. If we talk about opium and how it is produced in detail, let's go through few points more. That is, after sowing in 3 to 4 months, the plant bears flowers. In 3 to 4 months after sowing, the plant bears flowers, and after flowers there are fruits from which the opium is collected. So here, after 3 to 4 months, the plant bears flowers which are converted to capsule within few days and attain maturity after 15 to 20 days. So it's the time when the drug has to be collected, that is after 3 to 4 months, and after that the capsule gets matured, that is within 15 to 20 days the drug is being collected. So during the maturity period, the capsule exudates maximum latex which shows color change from dark green to light green. When the changes is from dark green to light green, the capsule is matured, and at that time the opium is collected from the capsule. Such capsules are incised vertically in the afternoon with the help of needle-like apparatus called nusture. That is the nusture which is used. Here you can see that it is a capsule of opium. You can see in this picture that exudates. This is the morphine exudate which is coming out, oozing out from the capsule, from the light green capsule when it has been matured. The incisions, you can see that scraping line, the incisions are made through the instrument called nusture. So when the capsule is fully matured, that is after 3 to 4 months and 15 to 20 days, when the color change from dark green to light green, the capsule is incised by a pointed instrument called nusture, and after the incision the gummy exudate is oozing out. This white color drop, you can see this white color drop. So when the gummy substance exudates out, we have to collect that exudate. So the timing for incision is also important, and collection of exudate is also important. So we incise the capsule in afternoon so that till next morning the exudate is able to collect it. Coming to the next slide, it penetrates maximum up to 2 mm. That is, the pointed portion is such that it penetrates the capsule 2.2 mm deep in the capsule. Because of the incision, the latex exudes out and thickens due to the cold weather in the night. That is why we are making that incisions in afternoon, so that exudate will oozes out, and due to the cold weather it will stick onto that capsule till next morning. It will not fall off, it will stick onto that capsule due to the cold weather. So scrapped and collected next morning by an iron screw called charpla. Charpla is the next spoon-like instrument through which we collect that exudates from the capsule. So this is done afternoon and early morning for the collection of exudate. The incision process was repeated for about 4 times on the same capsule in 2 days. The incisions on the same capsule can be made 4 times. Why 4 times? Because once we have incisions here, then there is a probability of doing it here also. So in the next time we will change the position and use the nusture to do the incisions, and in the next morning we can collect the exudate with the help of charpala. So this is how the plant is used to grow up the morphine, or you can say crude morphine is being extracted from the capsules of opium. This is the process. Production of opium. Now we have collected the crude opium from the plant. After collection of the crude opium, we have to produce it in a raw form. Then how we do it? Production of opium. Cultivators during harvesting should take each day's collection to Lambardar for weighing and entry in the records, which should be jointly attested every day by the Lambardar and the cultivators, because day-to-day collection is important for the government and for the cultivator also, because he will be paid with the yield which is produced. So how it has to be done? When the cultivator is collecting the drug, on the same day he has to go to the Lambardar for its physical identification. The Lambardar will check the quantity of the drug produced, and he will notify it in the register as well as attested with the help of the cultivator also. So these are the 2 persons who will have the same information on the same day. The records may be declared, checked by the officers in case of any discrepancies between quantity produced and the quantity entered, enquiry shall be made to determine the liability of the cultivator for punishment. And on inspection, if the data varies, that is, the physical value is not matching the tabulated value or the recorded value, then the cultivator is responsible or answerable for the same. That why there is a difference between these two data. So, the data is being recorded and monitored by the Lambardar, the cultivator and the narcotic commissioner. So, the punishment is liable for the cultivator if the data is not being matched. After that, all opium produced has to be delivered to the district opium officer, who will weigh, examine and classify the same in the prescribed manner. When the Lambardar has seen that all the drug has been collected from the capsule, the cultivator along with the Lambardar will go to the district opium officer, who will examine it. They will check the quality of the drug, the quantity of the drug, and they will pay the cultivator. So, the all opium produced has to be delivered to the district opium officer, who will weigh, examine and classify the same in the prescribed manner. A cultivator dissatisfied with classification may have the opium forwarded to the government opium factory. All opium forwarded to the government factory has to be classified by its manager. So, if the cultivator is not satisfied with the work of the district opium officer, he has the right to go further to the government opium factory. All opium forwarded to the government factory has to be classified by the general manager. So, the manager of the company has to examine the quality of the opium and pay the cultivator accordingly. So, ultimately, if you are not satisfied with the amount paid by the opium district officer, then you can move to the government industries also. If the district opium officer suspects any opium delivered to him to adulterated, he may send it separately to the government opium factory after sealing it in the presence of Lambardar and the cultivator. And in case if the opium district officer find any kind of mistake, or you can say mishappening, or you can say any kind of mischief in the cultivation or collection process, then he will seal the same drug and transfer it to the government opium factory to have a detailed inquiry over it. Adulterated opium is liable to confiscation after giving a hearing to the cultivator. If there is a adulteration found in the drug collected, so the responsible person is the cultivator, who is liable for convictions and confiscations for asking that how the things are being done. And if he is found convicted, then he has to go through the offences and penalties of the act. So, the opium or the drug collected should be pure and should not be found to be adulterated. So, this was the way through which the opium is collected. The central government may from time to time fix the price of opium. The price of opium is fixed by central government, and the calculation of the price for the cultivator is done by opium district officer, and in case of any discrepancy, it can move to the opium government factory. Cultivators aggrieved by orders of cancellation or withdrawal of license may appeal to narcotic commissioner, or those aggrieved by the decisions of the general managers of opium factory may appeal to the chief controller of the factory. So, at that point also, if the person is not satisfied or the cultivator is not satisfied, then he can move to narcotic commissioner, as well as he may also appeal to the chief controller of factories. So, there is a proper check, there is a proper control in concern with the narcotic drug from time to time, and the supervision is of the government authority, that is the narcotic commissioners and the chief controller of factories. So here I think so that some conceptual point is clear in your mind, that if we were talking about the operations controlled by the government, so these are the operations of the narcotic drugs which are being controlled by the government. Now coming to the next, manufacture of opium. Only central government can manufacture opium at its two factories at Ghazipur and Neemach. Manufacture of opium, that means that we have collected the crude drug, and when it is passed the examination, then from the crude drug we are extracting opium, we are extracting morphine. Then this work of extraction is done in the two government authorized factories, that is at Ghazipur and Neemach. So you have to learn over here that the cultivation is done at Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh, and the production is done at Neemach and Ghazipur, that are the two government factories in which morphine or the processing of opium is being done. However, any opium mixture may be manufactured from the lawfully processed opium in accordance with rules made for the purpose. So, according to the laws, the drug can be manufactured. So, this was the manufacturing conditions with regard to opium. Now, if we talk about the sale of opium, that is the last section of this part, the last section of sales of opium. So, the sale of opium to the state government or the manufacturing chemist can be made only from the government opium factory. The sale, its purchase is controlled by government opium factory, that is at Neemach and Ghazipur. The sales to the manufacturing chemist is possible only under permit from concern. When the government has permitted and the person is authorized, he has legally all the documents necessary for dealing with opium, then only the sales can be done. State government, 3 copies of which are sent to the opium factory. The purchase, the sale or anything with regard to opium has to be duplicated or triplicated in documents, and the separate documents are to be supplied to state government as well as central government as well as the person concerned who is doing so. 3 copies of which are to sent to the opium factory. The sale price shall be fixed by the central government from time to time, and the price of the sale has to be fixed by the central government from time to time. So, these are the 2 major concerns with the sale of opium. Now, coming to the next, the central government may from time to time fix the price of opium. The cultivator aggrieved by the orders of cancellation or withdrawal of license may appeal to the narcotic commissioner, or those aggrieved by the decision of the general managers of opium factory may appeal to the chief controller factories. So, let us have a brief over the sales and cultivation. If we talk about, we have seen the manufacturing, processing and sale of opium. Let us have a brief over it. The favorable conditions that are required for the manufacturing of opium, and for the cultivation there is a requirement of license which is given by the district opium officer. After having the license from the district opium officer, he will appoint a Lambardar under whose supervision you can cultivate the opium. The cultivated drug is collected from time to time under the supervision of Lambardar, and day to day drug and its weight has to be notified under duplicate, that is the Lambardar as well as the cultivator. If any discrepancy is found in the data, then the cultivator is responsible for any kind of offences and penalties. And if the cultivator is not satisfied from the Lambardar or the district opium officer, he can go to narcotic commissioner as well as the government opium factory. Now, coming to the processing part, if we talk about the processing is controlled by the government authority, that is the factory at Neemach and Ghazipur. only at these two factories the production of morphine, or you can say the opium, can be done. That is, from the crude raw opium we are converting it into a fine and used morphine, and after that we will use it as sales, and we see the sales are controlled by central government, and the purchaser should have the license to collect that opium. And if it is found discrepancy, the people will have a charge, or you can say the penalties of doing so. So this was all about the cultivation and collection and processing of opium and sales of opium. So I will soon be coming up with my last lecture on this topic, that is narcotic and psychotropic substances. Till then, thank you.